Hi, this video demonstration will be using the acid-base titration from the Spreadsheet Lab Manual. It uses 6 columns of data, each of which is 3,000 rows. The ability to jump to the end of a data set is a simple key command that just requires holding down Control and toggling the arrow, which can make for fast navigation on big spreadsheets like the ones used in the Spreadsheet Lab Manual. So what I wanted to demonstrate today is that the increment that the volume is added in is an independent variable that can be specified up top, and that's what counts in the first column. Well, if I wanted to use a small increment like 1/1000th of a milliliter, over 3,000 cells, I'm still only adding 3 milliliters. But that kind of an increment can be used if we highlight by holding Shift and jump the entire boundary and decide instead of using 3,000 cells, we want to use 50,000 cells. That's doable. And 50,000 cells times 6 columns will be hundreds of thousands of calculations, which may seem like too many calculations, but the point here is to demonstrate that the computer processor can solve problems at a scale that is not even imaginable for the person to envision. Now that I have modified the spreadsheet to have 50,000 calculating rows, each of which adds 1/1000th of a milliliter, I may have a titration that takes place where neutralization happens after a very precise amount of base has been added to our unknown acid. Now, the acid molarity is initially put in as 0.1, but the purpose of this is to demonstrate how you can use goal-seek to specify when the titration will have neutralized and observe that via the graph. So here the neutralization has taken place at 1 milliliter. It's only graphed between 1 and 3 milliliters. So let's say neutralization happens at 2.275 milliliters. 2.275 milliliters. So we can set the pH to a given value, 7, when neutralization takes place. So we're going to set the value in where the volume, the pH column, where the volume corresponds to 2.275 milliliters. I think that was the value I suggested. I can scroll up to that position, 2.275 milliliters. At that location, the pH should read 7. And again, the unknown concentration was the acid molarity. And when we do this, we're telling the processor to compute the possible molarity that it could be, and it uses trial and error. And because the spreadsheet's so big, each iteration takes a good amount of time. But as the goal-seek tests all different concentrations, it will eventually zero in on the solution. And while that may have taken about 10 seconds, one may think because the file was so big that that was overkill, and it is. But the point was to demonstrate that computations that involve large data sets can involve simple commands like adding a value to another one, adding another value to another one, and calculating moles added, and this if function and this if function to calculate the hydronium ion and hydroxide ion concentrations. Those are using if functions that have two possible values. One equation that's applied before neutralization takes place, and the other that's applied after neutralization takes place. And the pH is a simple log calculation. So by employing only 5 or 6 lines of code and replicating them in mass over the spreadsheet, we give students the ability to simulate diverse phenomena and to employ the computer processor that can perform billions of computations per second in order to solve problems that otherwise would take a whole lot longer or otherwise be impossible on the calculator. And that's the whole reasoning behind using spreadsheet modeling, because it creates this interface, the spreadsheet interface, where the student can change values very quickly, and as a result see updates on graphs and see updates on their data sets instantly. And if they want to make those changes, they can immediately observe the effects of those changes with interactive living graphs and real computational calculations where any value can be adjusted, and as a result, the spreadsheet will recalculate.